Oh, my goodness. Hello, world. What's up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. Hey, we are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. We're just a few weeks away from the release of Disney's latest animated classic brought to life, Aladdin. Hitting theaters Memorial Day weekend. Anticipation is high. So as I'm sure you can imagine, I'm pretty excited because our next guest stars as Aladdin himself. The great Mena Massoud is here. How about that? You excited at home? I'm excited. Okay, hear you from over here. It's going to be a good time. We'll bring them out in just a second. But first, I believe we have a trailer for the film, so let's go ahead and run that clip.
Get them! Stop! Thief! You three, get back here!
You stumbled upon an opportunity. I can make you rich. Rich enough to impress a princess.
What would I have to do?
There's a cave of wonders.
Bring me the lamp.
Great one who summons me, I stand by my oath, loyalty to wishes 3.
I'm kidding. Watch this.
Watch out! You done wound me up. You ain't never had a friend like me.
Hey, can you make me a prince?
There is a lot of gray area in Make Me a Prince. I could just make you a prince.
Oh, no.
Y'all see my palace?
You look like a prince on the outside, but I didn't change anything on the inside. Showtime.
No, I'm in charge, okay? I say when it's time. Really? I thought a princess could go anywhere.
Not this princess.
Do you trust me? Don't you dare close your eyes. Hold your breath, it gets better. I'm like a shooting star. I've come so far. Let me share this whole new world with you.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, make a crazy amount of noise. Aladdin himself, Mena Massoud, right here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dude, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
This is
Appreciate it.
incredible. I got a chance to, I was very lucky. I got a chance to see the film just on Friday, and you are outstanding in it. This film is insane. You guys made a heck of a movie.
Thanks,
man.
man.
Very proud.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making this film and for being here, for coming and hanging
You're
out with
very
us.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
I know you got a lot of stuff ahead of you. You got to you're not done yet. The ride is just taking off.
Yeah, we're just starting.
It's very exciting times. How are you doing? How are you doing with the whole process and all that? Are you excited
I'm
for it?
good,
You ready?
man. Yeah, I'm excited. It's finally here. We wrapped like a year and a half ago now, you know, so I'm glad it's finally here. Yeah, definitely.
That's crazy. What have you been doing for? So you wrapped a year and a half ago. You're extremely excited. You've just done this incredible thing, and nobody can see it or talk to you about it for a year and a half. What do you do to not go insane during that time?
I just keep working. You know, I've been lucky enough to keep working and worked on a film and a series that we're doing for Hulu. It's called Reprisal. So, yeah, it's exciting times.
Just keeping busy.
Yeah.
Just keeping super busy. I really want to talk to you about all this stuff. Have you seen the film yet? Have you yourself seen the whole thing?
I did see it, but you've probably seen it more finished than I have. It wasn't completed when I saw it.
That's still a very exciting proposition. You've seen it. You haven't seen it with an audience yet, obviously.
No, I haven't seen it with an audience, no.
So you've only seen it. I'm really excited to talk to you about when we get deeper into things. Just the idea. A lot of the characters you're with aren't. I imagine weren't there. Carpet, you know, Abu, Genie.
That's
there are
correct.
scenes with people, but you had to act quite often without them there.
Yes. Yeah.
And that must have been a challenge. What was that like?
Yeah, it was a process, you know. During prep, I worked with a team of puppeteers, and we worked to really get Abu down, you know, how much he weighs, how I pick him up, how I put him down, and just kind of created the foundation of him there. And then, you know, when we started shooting, they'd be there for some takes, but we have to do the takes without them as well. So just to kind of get it in my body movements and things like that. So yeah, me and Guy talked a lot about what we wanted Abu to look like and feel like. So it was interesting. It was an interesting process. It reminded me of theater school a little bit.
Have you still not yet seen, it sounds like you haven't, fully realized finished Abu? You and Abu?
Probably not. I think they had a little bit of work to do left on all the CGI.
Did they give you, when you were figuring out how much he weighs and all that sort of stuff, was there some kind of like substitute that you would, a physical thing that you would have to interact with, like some kind of weighted beanbag or something with Abu
Yeah, I
written
mean,
on
they
it? Like,
they custom made a puppet that they put on my shoulder, and he was of the same weight. And you know, they would come in, and there were 2 puppeteers that puppeted him, and just to kind of do the rehearsals with him and stuff. So yeah, definitely.
so cool. All right. Sorry for getting lost in the weeds, the Abu weeds, so early.
No, it's
a fascinating
totally
part of
cool,
the
man.
process.
Yeah, absolutely, it's different. It's different.
Let's turn back a little bit. Let's just start from the beginning, because you had a heck of a journey just to get here, just to be in this moment right now. You know, much has been written about and talked about with the big open casting call. I'm really curious about it from your perspective, what this ride was like, how it all started, how you became Aladdin, man.
Yeah. This is really cool, by the way. This is my first time like seeing it up close.
Look
Yeah.
at you, man. That's like life size.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, you know, I sent in an audition tape when it came out to the world. You know, they had put on all these public casting calls, and my agent sent me a request to put in a tape. And then we didn't hear anything for like 4 months. So usually as an actor, if you don't hear back in like a month, it's kind of dead in the water. So, you know, I moved on from it as actors do, and I forgot about it. And 4 months later, we got a call being like, hey, my reps were actually like, hey, remember that thing that you were really excited about?
Remember
yeah, and I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, come on, that thing you kept checking in about. And I'm like, I have no idea. And they were like, Aladdin. I was like, oh, that was 4 months ago now. That's weird. Yeah. So after, you know, from that point, things picked up, and I did another tape. I flew to London twice to test for it. With Naomi a few times, and yeah, and then I booked it.
You've been the world is pretty much about to be introduced to you in a big way, and like I'm sure the moment this comes out, like your life has already changed dramatically, but it's going to just keep spiraling and keep snowballing, which is a very exciting, maybe scary proposition. But here's the thing I'm curious about. My very long-winded question is
Get to the point, man.
prior to this moment, you've worked for a minute. It's not an overnight success.
Yeah,
You've been in a bunch of different things. You've been putting in the time.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to get used to the idea that you're going to hear no a lot?
I don't know. I think it's just something that if you want to be an artist and you want to be an actor, you kind of just, it sucks the first few times. You know, the first time you test for something, because when you test, it's like down between you and one other person or 2 other people. The first time you test for something and get told no, it sucks. I have a rule with my reps that if I test for something and I don't get it, to not call me, to just text me. And the first time I tested and didn't get something, they called me. Oh, no. And I was like, guys, that was the whole point of the rule.
What rule?
So, yeah, so it sucks, but you get used to it. And, you know, I'm a real believer of if something's meant for you and you work hard, you know, you'll book it. Nothing can get in the way. So kind of take it in stride.
And so here's why I asked that. This opportunity comes along, and do you think, like, all my training's led to this? I can't get too excited about it. I can't put too much. I just got to do my best, and it is what it is, and put it out in the universe.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very much my mentality. Yeah, definitely. I was just grateful to be testing for it, you know.
So they call you back. You said, how many times did you have to go back between London and whatnot?
I was in Toronto finishing up a film, so I flew from Toronto to London, back to Toronto, back to London, back to Toronto. That was kind of, it all happened like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, something like that.
How many trips back and forth till you go, I think they really want me?
None, because I've heard stories of like Gal Gadot testing 10 times for Wonder Woman and things like that. So I've heard like crazy stories like that, and I'm like, okay, this is only number 2, 8 more to go. So you never know.
What happened when you finally found out? Here it is, you're Aladdin. They tell you officially.
Yeah, it was exciting. I was on set finishing up this film, and it was really exciting. But right after I, exclaimed my excitement. They were like, "Oh, by the way, you can't tell anyone. So when you go out there on set in front of 300 people, like you got to pretend like nothing happened." And I was like, "Okay." So I just had to, pretend like nothing happened for a few days.
Could you tell your mom or something?
I did. I told my mom and my dad and my family. Yeah.
They must have been proud, man. That must have been a big moment.
Yeah.
Aladdin.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know if it's really hit me in that way yet. Everybody's like, you're playing this iconic character, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. Like I am.
Another role right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I wanted to treat it. I didn't want to put too much emphasis on it because I didn't want to, choke under the pressure or something,
Well, let me ask you this though, because I got a couple of years on you. I grew up. I was out when this came out in the theater. I had the VHS. I wore it out. I had several VHSs, and I think I was doing my research. You were born, I want to say, 91. Is that right?
That is correct.
There we go. Nailed it. Okay.
That is correct.
So that puts you at the prime age for the height of the VHS on this thing, which
Yes.
I assume you grew up with this movie.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
This
I
was
think
a big
the
movie
first
for you.
time I watched it was probably back in Egypt because I was born in Egypt and we immigrated to Canada when I was 3 years old. So I might have watched it in Egypt growing up, and if not, I certainly grew up with it for sure. Yeah.
So then, how do you, if you want to go into, you want to avoid cracking under the pressure or getting overwhelmed by the idea? How do you divorce yourself of those years of watching this movie, having grown up with it? You got to kind of put that aside and find your Aladdin. How do you do that?
I decided not to watch it. After we heard back, I decided not to watch it from that point. So even before my audition process, I just kind of decided not to watch it. And even they had the Broadway musical on stage in London where we were shooting, and Disney was like, "You can go see it. Like, we'll get you tickets." And I was like, "No, I don't want to." I just didn't want to just see anybody else play the part. I kind of wanted to bring my own flavor to it.
So then let's go a little further down that road. If you're not looking at the animated film and you're not looking at the Broadway show, what were you looking at to help inform your version of Aladdin? Were you looking at anything?
Yeah, well, I grew up with it, so I think it was kind of enough. When you watch a movie like 30 times, you kind of know it. And also just discussions. I had a lot of discussions with me and Guy and me and Will, and we kind of just talked about the arc of the story, what we want to get across, who this guy is at his core. Because I think even with the animation, there's only so much you can do when it comes to really building a character like that. So, I just we focused on the big kind of overall messages.
All right, so we've gone through the audition. You got the role. You're preparing. You're ready to go. Now it's day one. Do you meet Will on day one, or do they save that for a little bit?
No, I did a little. Yeah, I did a little bit of shooting by myself for a while, but I think I met Will. I think it was during prep actually, because we had 6 weeks of prep before we went to camera, and I went up and introduced myself, but I forgot to introduce myself. Like literally, I was in dance rehearsal and I was wearing my gym clothes, and I went up to him and I was like, "Oh gosh, it's Will. Okay, all right, and it's Will Smith. I go over there." So I went up to him and I was like, "Hey, Will, hi." And he was like, "Hey, man." And that was it. I walked away and I was like, I didn't actually introduce myself. So I walked back and I was like, "Hey, man, it's Mena Massoud." And he was like, "Oh, man, what's up?" So, I choked a little bit on that one, but I was nervous.
That makes for a great story, though.
Yeah, I guess.
How long did it take for you to eventually, like, for him to stop being like Will Smith and just Will? Like, was there a point where he just became a regular person? And you could just talk to him and have these conversations?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot. I think in Jordan we really bonded because it was a reduced cast and crew, and we went over there to shoot, for a couple of weeks, and I think we really bonded there, spent a lot of time together, so I think maybe that's when the transition happened,
For scenes when he's in his kind of blue mode, were you guys still performing those together, even though physically it looks like that he might not have been there? I'm just curious how you guys maintain the chemistry, because there's one great scene where he's not in blue mode, so I'm just wondering how you did that throughout.
Yeah. Excuse me, getting comfortable here.
But get cozy. We got time, man. He's into it.
I was like, this is going to be a long one. Let's
go.
Stretch out. No, he was there all the time, and I think that's what makes him amazing. Like, as big of a superstar as he is, even when I was like acting with a tennis ball, 12 feet in the air, he was still there reading me his lines and everything, because, we both wanted to give as authentic a performance as possible. So yeah, man, he was there all the time.
there's a scene right after the Prince Ali number that I was reading. I think that you guys improvised a lot of.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I won't spoil anything about that scene. But did you guys find a lot of opportunities to do that, to kind of go off the rails a little bit and have fun? And what was it like keeping up with Will?
Yeah. Guy Ritchie has an incredible way of getting his vision across and still allowing his actors to play and have fun. So we did do that often, but that scene that you're referring to is really the big one. There wasn't much written on the page that day, and we really wanted to make a scene out of it. And so he was kind of like, hey, you and Will just go for it. Like, just show me something. Show me what you got. So we went for it, and we had a lot of fun that day. And the way they've, pieced it together and everything is really good.
Was there ever, in all the conversations you had, I'm sure you're trying to be present and just listen and not freak out that Will Smith is saying stuff to you. But is there something in particular that you tried to learn from him or just try to absorb from him? It's not every project you have an opportunity to work next to a dude who's been in the business for this long, and it's him,
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the way he carries himself on set. After 30 years, I think it's really easy to just start being a prick and kind of just being like, well, I'm not going to talk to these people or something. I don't know. But, every day he came in, he says hi to everybody. He lifts up the energy of the room once he walks in, and he's just a real dude. So that's definitely something to learn from. I think after 30 years doing this, it can get really easy not to do that,
Did you... in terms of like bonding experience and stuff like that, I know there was a lot of physical work on this movie. Did you guys like train together or anything like that? Or because I know he's a bit of a fitness guy too.
Yeah, he was definitely in the gym sometimes when I was there. To be honest with you, I just got to the gym really early. I was there at like 6 a.m, like landed, ready to go most days. So I didn't really see anybody there. But he had, from what I understand, it was because of him that we had a sick gym layout at the studio. So it was amazing. Like, that training regime was like the funnest I've ever had training because we just had everything at our disposal. It was amazing.
Do you have a go-to gym playlist, a couple of songs?
To be honest, I let my trainer pick the music. I was like, you go for it. She did a good job most days, yeah.
Any songs that got stuck in your head outside of the ones you were singing every
No,
day?
she played a lot of techno, which I'm not...
Interesting.
Which I don't listen to a lot, but I think for working out, it works. Yeah, it works.
Talking about singing, talking about music, you do everything in this film. You're running, you're jumping, you're singing, you're dancing, you're doing it all.
Yeah.
And I was reading that, keep me honest here, is this the first time you've had to sing on camera?
Yes, yeah.
That must have scared the hell out of you. That must have been crazy.
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
It's funny. We did it in theater school, and I was in my school choir when I was a kid and things like that.
Everybody did choir.
Yeah, choir, and we did it in theater school, and I was like, when am I ever gonna need this? Like, come on, like I want to be an actor. I'm not gonna sing. So, getting to this, I was like, yeah, definitely should have put a little bit more work into that. But, it caught up to me. I put in the work for this film instead of in theater school. So, it was nerve-wracking, but something that I had to work at. And I think anytime anything makes you uncomfortable, it's probably good for you.
That's a good way to live, man. One of the things, people are all over the place are really excited for this film for a million different reasons. One of the big reasons is specifically you in this amazing cast, and this amazing diverse cast. And a lot of people are excited to see you in this role, to go to a theater and see themselves on screen, to feel represented. And that's a huge deal. And it's also a huge responsibility. You talked about not being crushed by the responsibility of the legend of Aladdin and like the mythos there, but what about that responsibility? How did you process that?
Yeah, I understood that. I think a lot of people have been asking me, like, do you feel the pressure of it? And the word I always use to replace it is responsibility. So yeah, I do feel the responsibility. I also think like we live in a time where there are still a lot of ethnic groups that don't get representation, and we have to fight for that. And at the end of the day, Hollywood's a business, and the only way we can kind of start to chip away at that is if movies like this go out and do well. If people go out and see them, then people get the sense like, oh, okay, so we can cast people that look Middle Eastern or Indian or Asian, and the movies can still succeed and do well. Because at the end of the day, it's supply and demand, and there's got to be demand for it. So I definitely feel the responsibility, and I hope it does well, and I'm proud of this film. I mean, it's probably the most international cast I think Disney has ever put together, but maybe like any studio's ever put together. Like, you know, Jafar right there grew up in the Netherlands, but he's Tunisian, and I grew up in Canada, but I'm Egyptian. Naomi's half Indian and half English, and Will's African American, and Naveed's Iranian, but spent time in Germany, but he's also an American citizen. Like, it's insane when you really look at it. That never happens, ever. So it's amazing.
It is pretty amazing, man. Have you noticed, even just the movie's not even out yet, but have you noticed a change in the world on your side? Have more doors already opened up for you as an actor? And the movie hasn't even hit theaters yet?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You know, I've still had to go in and fight for my roles and, you know, and audition and things like that. But yeah, I think things have started to change a little bit. I don't feel it, I think, on like my day-to-day life. Not yet, but yeah, I think so.
You texting Will? Do you have that relationship? Are you guys that close? Is he in your phone?
Yeah, we have a group chat.
Then it's hit your day to day. There it is. When Will
I
Smith's
guess
in your
that's
phone,
true. That's true. That's
when
true.
Will Smith's in that phone book.
Touche, sir. Touche.
Just hit your day to day. I do want to go to audience questions. We're going to do it in just 1 second, but I saw something you do that's really cool that I wanted to ask you about. Evolving Vegan. You got a side hustle going on, man. What's
Yeah.
Evolving Vegan? Tell me about that real quick.
Evolving Vegan is a company I started. I went plant-based about 4 years ago. And I noticed a huge divide between like hardcore vegans that we all kind of don't really like, and people who are just interested in the plant-based lifestyle and people who want to learn more about it. And there wasn't really a community for that. It was kind of like you're all in or you're not part of us. So I wanted to start that, and Evolving Vegan is a place for everybody to go to and learn more about plant-based living and how it affects your health and the environment and everything like that. So definitely follow us on Instagram and check it out.
Has it been difficult to stay on top of that while starring in blockbuster movies and doing all these other projects? Are you finding yourself navigating that all right?
Yeah, it's been tough, but I've got great business partners, and we're building it from the ground up. We've got a book that we're working on that hopefully, will get into people's hands very soon. And we traveled North America. We hit 10 different cities, over 50 restaurants. And we just, got all this incredible material, stories from these incredible restaurateurs and things like that. So very excited about it.
Very cool. So the preferred method, people get involved, follow you on Insta? Is that,
Yeah, follow us on Insta, evolvingvegan.com as well.
Evolvingvegan.com. All right. And we're going to go to those questions. Remind the world, May 24th, Memorial Day weekend. If you haven't already, go buy your tickets now.
Yeah, tickets are on sale.
Get them on sale. And is Disney doing, I think I saw something really cool with Make-A-Wish, where if you buy a ticket and then tweet about it.
You don't even have to buy anything. You just hashtag friend like me, and Disney donates $5 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they're willing to donate up to $1 million. So if 200,000 people just use the hashtag, that's $1 million. Which
hashtag
is
friend like me.
Hashtag friend like me. Yes,
No
sir.
reason not to do that.
Yeah,
honestly.
so easy.
All right, cool. Let's get to some questions from the outside world. This one's from Twitter. It's at Mena Massoud News. Do you know about that? That's pretty cool.
No.
You got your own little news network here. Look
That's
at this.
amazing.
Mena Massoud
You're going to
News.
run out of news pretty soon.
That's
man.
fantastic. What's a scene you're most excited about for the audience to see, if you can talk
It's
about
very polite.
Yeah,
the way
very
they've,
considerate.
Yeah, very considerate. I love it. Actually, I think it's the scene that you're referring to. I love that scene. I think I can call it the jam scene.
Yeah, I don't think it gives anything away.
Yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about. The jam scene. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good scene. What was in the script, if you could say?
I don't.
There wasn't much on the
There
page.
wasn't much on the page. I don't remember exactly. Jam might have been referenced to once in the scene,
You guys
but
really run with it.
yeah, we do.
It's so much fun knowing that you guys improvised that scene now, having seen it. The whole theater was cracking up. When we were
Yeah.
watching it. That was
Okay,
one of the
good,
funniest moments.
good.
Yeah, so
Good
it
to
reads.
hear.
Tomorrow, someone I got in the room, man. I got 3 fantastic. I got 3 questions in the room. First one's coming to me from all the way back here. Go for it.
Hi, Mena.
Hey, man.
My name is Mark, and my question is, what were some things you did to prepare for the role of Aladdin?
Yeah, my days would kind of look like this. So I'd wake up in the morning, I'd train with my trainer really early, and then I would have stunt rehearsal, and we implemented a boxing routine in there to kind of get me loose and get me into my body, and then we rehearsed our stunts, and then I would have dance rehearsal and vocal rehearsals, and I'd sit down with Guy or Will, and we'd talk about the script. And that would kind of be a typical day for like 6 weeks. And then when we started shooting, I'd have miscellaneous items like camel riding or scuba diving or juggling rehearsal, something. There was always something to learn, for sure.
Pretty amazing. Are you the kind of dude that, like, when there's a lot of stunts, you want to learn and train as much as you can and get right in there?
Yeah, very. I mean, it's one of my favorite things that I had to do for this role. So, yeah, I mean, I love the stunt work. I hope to get to a point where, I don't know if I'll ever get to the Tom Cruise level, but get to do as much of it as I can.
Is there anything, maybe it was in the trailer, is there a stunt that was really cool to do that you were really scared about that you can share?
I think the scuba diving was something that I've never done before. I had to train to kind of get to that deep in the water, about 18 feet deep, and I had to equalize and do it without oxygen, basically. And then when we shot, I'd have to do it without oxygen. When we were shooting it, there'd be like scuba divers coming to feed me in oxygen, but
but still,
exactly. Yeah,
that doesn't mean that's not terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're scared of water, which I'm not, thankfully. But
okay.
yeah.
Are you scared? Great question. I got 2 left. Let's do another one. Next question is right over here. Go for it.
Hey, Mena.
Hey, man.
From Brooklyn, New York. How do you feel?
I love Brooklyn, by the way. Great vegan spots in Brooklyn.
Awesome. Williamsburg.
Yeah.
How do you feel this film connects the dots from the animation and the generations as well? Like, there's a lot of eyes on this film. So how... You mentioned you brought your own twist to it and you really didn't watch the old versions, but how are we connecting those dots?
Yeah, I grew up watching the old ones, but I think with this, we really wanted people to be able to, a grandmother to take her daughter and her granddaughter to go see this film and all connect to it in different ways, regardless of whether they've seen the old one or not. So we've implemented all the kind of underlying messages in the old ones and the new ones. So at the end of the day, this is really a story about a young man who goes on his search for his personal identity and learning that he is good enough and, learning that he doesn't have to change himself to be accepted, which is something that we all go through. I mean, I went through that in elementary school and high school. And then it's also about a young woman who is also going through a similar journey and standing up for herself and fighting for what's right. So I think that's the major way how we connected them. We just focused on those big messages that we wanted to get across.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys definitely took those and evolved them just a little bit and brought them into the modern day, but the tenets are still very true to the original story. I love what's happened with Jasmine's story, too. I think it's a lot of fun, and we get a great song out of it. So
yes,
very, very
terrific
cool.
song.
Yeah.
Naomi is phenomenal.
Do you know when, I looked high and low, maybe you don't have this information. When's the soundtrack going to drop? Do you know that? Can you say that? It's okay.
I don't know. I find out most things when you guys find
Fair
out.
Enough.
So I have no idea.
No, let's keep an eye out for that. Do I have any more in the room? I got one more. Fantastic. Right here in the front. Go for it.
Hi. My name's Madeline. Actually, kind of tying into what you were just asking, I was going to ask if there are any new songs on the soundtrack for the live action version.
Yeah, so there are. So Benji and the creators of The Greatest Showman and La La Land, they wrote a few new songs for the film. And there's one full new song, which Naomi sings, called Speechless. And it's quite empowering and it's amazing. And then Aladdin has a new reprise as well, or a new short song as well. So there's a couple of things in there, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of great, there's some brand new stuff, and then there's a lot of fun little twists on the old stuff as well that you guys have done, which is very, very cool. You can tell, man, a lot of tender love and care went into this film. A lot
Thanks,
of attention
man. I
to
appreciate
detail.
that.
Yeah, and you guys worked really hard on it, and you see it. You can see it on the screen. And you're fantastic. You're a beautiful Aladdin, man. You nail it.
Man.
You really
I
did.
appreciate it, man.
I thought you were awesome, man, honestly.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're one of my favorite parts. So I'm really excited that I got to see this, but I'm even more excited for the rest of the world to see it so we can all talk about it. It's coming out May 24th, Memorial Day weekend. That's a big movie weekend. If you don't have your tickets now, you better hurry up and get them. It's going to be hard, I'm telling you right now. But We're out of time. So we got to say goodbye. We got to wrap things
All
up.
good, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being
And
here,
thanks
dude.
for coming, guys.
Yes,
This is
thank you to you
amazing.
guys for being an
Yeah,
awesome
thanks for
audience.
coming.
Keep doing that. And join me in thanking the great Mena Massoud for being here.
Thanks, sir.